live? Yes? Hello, welcome everyone to, I don't know, more Advent of Code. I don't feel quite right calling it another episode like I do for my recorded videos. But, it's another night of Advent of Code, certainly. We are minutes away. Just about 4 minutes now. Started a little late because I don't know, I was confused about how streaming works, evidently. We can preview the stuff that I've set up, but it's basically the same as last night. Just defined a Python file here that's going to iterate over every line in standard in, doing nothing, and print the result. We don't always need to do this, but we often do, so why not? Let's just start with that. I saw some cool posts on the subreddit about, I don't know, some people had recorded animations of, apparently it was very popular to display an animated hacking, video while cracking the passwords on last night's puzzle. Mine was just not exciting enough because it put X's there, whereas if it had put like random garbage numbers, or like maybe those are related to whatever it was hacking, well, whatever it was guessing, I don't know, but and updated in place rather than displaying one line at a time, it would have been very exciting with like a capital V and a capital E. People love that stuff. It was pretty cool. And one guy forked off a trillion gazillion threads to compute hashes independently. And he was able to run part 2 in like 1 second, where it took me, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute, something like that. It seemed like longer than a minute, but I guess it wasn't. And well, it was much longer than a minute the time I tried it and it wasn't working because the string 8 or the string 5 is less than the character 8 or the number 8 or whatever. Fix your game, Guido. So there's fewer people in the chat today than yesterday. Possibly this is just because I didn't publish not warning, what's the word I'm thinking of? An announcement as early, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it tonight. So I only announced like an hour ahead, a little less, I think. So we've got fewer people here. That's fine. When I say fewer, I mean I mean the number that I'm thinking of is about 0. 0 people in the chat anyway. YouTube tells me there's 2 people watching, so hey, welcome. Glad to see you. Don't feel obligated to speak up in the chat or whatever. We're getting close to the release date here, so to speak. I guess it is the release date, right? The release date is December 6th. It just doesn't feel like a date to me because for me it's not just 9 o'clock. It's not a new day. By the way, it doesn't feel like a date to me. Those are words you don't like to hear, right? Even from some guy on YouTube. I don't know. How are we doing, man? I gotta look at the puzzle. Let me see the puzzle. I'm clicking a lot. I'm also getting like some... Oh no. I see. Just the way I have my windows like layered on top of each other, something from the YouTube control panel was showing through, and it made it look like a weird like pop-up that had gotten stuck on my Advent of Code page, but that's not what's happening at all. And you guys can't see it because you're only seeing this one window. Speaking of which, you are seeing this one window, right? No. There you go. Now you are. Okay. I am never ever going to get the hang of keeping track of which windows you guys are seeing. Day 6, signals and noise. Something is jamming your communications with Santa. Fortunately, your signal is only partially jammed, and protocol in situations like this, it's a switch to a simple repetition code, we'll look at that later, I suppose, to get the message through. In this model, the same message is sent repeatedly. You've recorded the following message signal, your puzzle input. But the data seems quite corrupted, almost too badly to recover. All you need to do is figure out which character is most frequent for each position. For example, suppose you had recorded the following messages, okay? I see. I'm very confused about how this message corruption is supposed to be. Oh, I see. I'm this is not worded very clearly, and it sounds like I'm trying to send him a message. And then it just sort of later says, oh, you actually got a bunch of these messages and you need to decode them. And I was trying to figure out, like, why am I trying to decode the message that I'm sending? So I think it would have been a little bit nice if somewhere in these first two paragraphs it was mentioned that I'm receiving a message rather than sending it. It sounds like I'm switching to a repetition code, right? Which, like, really, Santa's switching to the repetition code and I'm just receiving it. So, if Topaz is listening, as I know he has been in some of the past episodes, there's my feedback about this puzzle definition being a little bit confusing. But okay. We're just getting a bunch of strings, and we're supposed to count for each one the most common letter. What about tie breaks? Are there any? Oh, well, okay. Seems pretty straightforward. Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do is iterate over each line in the input. And then for each line, removing the new line, of course, we will iterate over that along with the index. And so I guess we're going to have a list of maps. And I guess it's okay to hardcode the size of the list of maps at 8. I'd kind of like to read the first line and then initialize the map, but it's a bit awkward to do that because we're iterating over the list lazily as an iterator kind of thing. And so it's just a bit awkward to do special case processing with the first message in an iterator. So I'm not going to. We'll hardcode it at 8. Anyway, and then for each character, we'll update the map for that column by adding 1 to it. Seems pretty straightforward. Let's grab our input here and pop over to Emacs. There you go. There's our inputs. Very good. And we're just going to say something like this. Oh, I bet. I was going to try something like times 8, right, to make a map, a list of 8 dicts. But I assume that that's actually just going to make a list with 8 copies of the same dict, and then updating it would be a problem. So how do you Python repeatedly thunk? Like, I don't know. Is that what I'm looking for? Function for calling a function repeatedly. I guess I could just do this as a list comprehension, but it looks like it is not built in. All right, well, fair enough. So we'll say freaks equals for I in range of 8. Right, and let's eval this real quick. Yep, it's 8 maps. All right, 8 empty maps. Empty dicts, I should say. So now instead of passing, we're going to say, I already forgot how to map over thing, keeping the index. Python map with index still in my search history. Look at that. Getting index of an item while processing a map in Python. That's what we want. Enumerate, that's right. There's an enumerate function. For I see in enumerate of line.rstrip, I remembered it this time, I think it was called rstrip, freaks of I of C equals freaks I dot get of C and 0 plus 1. Right? And let's just try now printing freaks at the end rather than just to see if we're getting somewhere, right? Rather than iterating over the list inside of the function here. All right, well, that seems to have done it all right. We have a bunch of dicts, and each one has a count of things. Great. So now what we can do, does Python have like a min by? Python min of a list with function? Well, we want a max by, of course, but aha, there's min. Yeah, I thought it might be something like this. The min function takes a key argument. So what we can write is for m in freaks. It's a little bit awkward here, but let's say let's print for, wait, how do I do that? Yeah, for m in freaks. Ah, right, it goes over here. So what we want is not sort, max of m key equal lambda of lambda x 1, basically. And then we'll get the 0 out. So the idea is for each map in freaks, we'll compute the max by looking at the 1th value, freaks.items, I believe it is. Yeah, that seems okay. What happens? List object has no attribute items. Okay. Freaks. This was supposed to be freaks, and this is supposed to be m.items. List object is not callable. Where? Oops. All right. And we'll just print dot join of this. And we've got some stuff. Looks good. Let's go ahead and paste this in. And we did it. Great. So, rank 272. Let's see what part 2 is all about. Of course, that would be the message if you hadn't agreed to use a modified repetition code. Very funny. In this modified code, the sender instead transmits what looks like random data, but for each character, the character they actually want to send is slightly less likely than the others. Okay, yeah, so choose the least common, basically, right? So that's not too bad. We can reuse the frequency counting code. Boy, this seems like a short one tonight. And just change this. well, hang on. Before we go messing around with this, let's commit. Day 6, part 1. And so the thing is, it seems to me that we can just write part 1 plus this, and then part 2 plus this, where we just replace max with min and be done, right? Seems like we could maybe be a little bit more more clever. That's not the right answer. All right, what did I misunderstand? Wait, that is the right answer. I just can't read. All right, no, wait, what? I went back and forward. I have 12 stars. All right, I guess I must have been right. Okay, well, here you go. That was it. So obviously, I think the main thing I would improve here is these 2 lines. They're very repetitious, right? The only thing different is this. So what you could do is write something like this: for f in max. Yeah, and then we could just strip the part 1 and part 2 prefixes. Yeah, so let's say just for f in max min, and then print just this f, right? And indeed, we get the same output. So I think this is a pretty good solution. I'm pretty happy with this. Hard to argue with, really. Things I don't like. This is a bit awkward, but it's not too bad. It's annoying that we have this like range 8 that like we just ignore the values in, but that's relatively common, I suppose. This 4 is obviously pretty good. This I think is pretty good. This is basically the best way to work with a dictionary, getting a default value out as far as I know. Now we could have used like a default dictor. I don't know, that's dumb, never mind. This is pretty good too. This sort of like, this expression here is a bit wonky for sure. Like, it would be nice if there were a function like this that already existed that was like, if there were a key and a value function, and like, who knows, maybe there are. Key. No. Send? Second? No. So it's a bit awkward that you have to like, in order to get a thing out of a tuple, you have to give the tuple a name so that you can look it up like this. And so that means we need this lambda instead of just being able to pass in a built-in function that accepts a tuple and returns the 0, the first, well, the item at index 1. Wait a minute. Am I not showing the code? Oh, I'm not. Thank you, Eric. Or not Eric, Alex. I was doing so well up until I was done. Oh well. That's what I get for trying to show you guys the advent of code page. Like, who cares about that, right? Topaz, were you around when I was at the beginning when I was saying that the first couple paragraphs of the description made it sound like I was sending a message to Santa, and then I was confused when it was like asking me to decode the message that I was sending? I later realized that it was intended that I'm receiving a message, but the first couple paragraphs were completely vague about that, and so I just sort of filled in the blanks in my head. It would be nice if they were a little more specific about what's happening. Yeah, thanks for the congrats over there. And anyway, so I was saying that like pretty much everything in here looks good, except that this lambda is like kind of awkward, and I wish I didn't have to name the tuple in order to access the stuff in it. If I had functions named key and val, I would be able to write, you know, val of f, and or actually key of f, and here instead of this lambda, just use val, something like that. Okay, well, too bad. Topaz says, I don't know how you keep straight talking to people, writing code and everything. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I started doing YouTube about a year ago, a little more, I guess. And recorded like, I don't know, 600 videos or something, a lot anyway. It's just sort of like you get practice with letting your mouth run, I guess. But also, like, I don't know, I think if I had to choose a second career other than like software development, it would be teaching. And I think that I'm reasonably good at describing what I'm thinking without really devoting too much of my thought to that description. But plus, this puzzle was really easy. If this had been day one, I would have. Day one was a lot harder than this one for me. Yeah, exactly. It's not very explicit beyond you recorded a message, which I thought meant like, oh, I've written down the message I want to send, and then I'd send it to him. So I guess, well, am I going to cut the stream? Yeah, I suppose so. If anyone wants to keep on chatting, I'll be in chat. Good luck, everyone, with your own solutions, or just enjoy watching some more. I probably will not be recording or streaming for another couple of days at least. I've got evening engagements most of the week, so I don't know. Maybe I could like stream at midnight or something, but I feel it loses some of that flavor if it's not done when the puzzle is released. So I'm probably just going to solve them on my own. I'll publish still to GitHub, so you can check out my solutions there. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining me. It's been fun, as always. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.